Hi friends, so welcome to our channel Mentor Tutorials. So in this continuing series on Java interview questions, our current question is checked exception versus unchecked exceptions. So this is a very popular interview question like what is the difference between checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. So we are going to discuss it in detail with practical example. So exceptions which are checked by the compiler for smooth execution of a program before the program is actually running or going into runtime environment. So exceptions which are checked by the compiler for the proper execution of a program are known as checked exceptions. We will get error during program compilation itself if there is any checked exception in the program, and these are supposed to be handled, okay, otherwise compiler will give us error. And then we come to unchecked exceptions. Unchecked exceptions which are not checked by the compiler are known as unchecked exceptions. So in the next slide we will see like what the hierarchy is. So if you see here, yeah, then whenever we are doing software programming or we are doing file handling or there is some input output, okay, um, kind of scenario in a code, then those exceptions will fall into the category of checked exceptions. Now if we now let's talk about unchecked exceptions. Let's suppose whenever we are dealing with array, so there is an array index out of bound exceptions, so that will be occurring only during our runtime scenario. Let's suppose when we are executing a program and we try to insert more values in an array, then that will result to array index out of bound, or we are trying to access an index which does not exist, or we are trying to do an arithmetic operation in which we are trying to divide a number by 0. So those exceptions will occur at during the execution of a program. So those are basically unchecked exceptions which the compiler cannot detect during the compilation of a program. So we will see with some example like what checked exceptions are and what unchecked exceptions are. Okay, so I'll go to tips. We have this package. I'll create some example classes. So let's start with checked exceptions. Okay, let's suppose you want to do some file handling. So I'll create an object of file input stream. Let's suppose we are naming it as FIS is equal to new file input stream, and here we specify the path of the file where the file is located basically. So let's suppose my file is in C drive, and let the name of the file be data.txt. It could be any name. So if you see here, we are getting unhandled exception type file not found exception. Okay, all exceptions occur at runtime, that is true, but here the compiler is actually helping us of pre-detecting like there is a possibility that the file may not exist at runtime. So it would be better if either we throw the exception or surround it with package that is handle the exception. So let's try to handle it. Okay, now the exception is gone. Now if we run this program, still we got the exception, file not found exception, but compiler actually tried to warn us by giving an error. If I revert the code, so compiler actually warned us, okay, please go ahead and either handle it or throw the exception. Okay, yeah, so that if somebody else is trying to extend our class, then they would be able to, or should be knowing like, okay, this is the method that throws this exception. So they can handle in their code. Okay, so this is an example of checked exception. All exceptions occur at runtime only, but the checked exceptions are the exceptions which are basically pre-detected by the compiler during the compile time. Now we will move to unchecked exceptions. Okay, we are creating another class with this name, and to remove this tab you can just say Control D. Now let's suppose I'm declaring an int array. Let it be of size 10. Okay, so we'll create a for loop. So array index starts with 0, and we have size of 10, so we are starting from 0, and less than 10, that means 9. So 0 to 9, that is basically 10 elements we will try to insert in the array. And what we are inserting? We are inserting the same value I here. Now let's try to print. Now we'll run this program. Okay, so the program ran successfully and the numbers from 0 to 9 were printed. Now let's try to add more values to this array which is of size 10. Okay, so 0 to 11 basically, so that is 12 values we are trying to insert, but the size of an array of this array is basically 10. So let's try and run it. Now you see we are trying to put more values, then it is saying array index out of bound, and size it is denoting here which is 10. Also it is saying that yes, this is an unchecked exception. Okay, so this is basically the difference between checked exception and unchecked exception. Both the exceptions occur at runtime, that is during the program execution, but in checked exceptions compiler is basically providing us its input, telling us okay, please handle this exception, otherwise program execution may not go smooth. Yeah, so I'll be coming up with next question. Thanks for watching.